Hello everyone and welcome back. Wait, this isn't Pack Battles. Where are we? So, this entire series, I'm starting a new series where I am going to be basically reviewing the games that I play. So, Pokemon related stuff, obviously. So, first we're going to be talking about Scarlet and Violet, the most recently released games, with also the most bugs, but we'll get to that in a bit. They're going to be based on my opinions, but before this begins, I'm sorry for the lack of videos for the last few weeks. I've been preparing for an event that's happened over last week. So, hey, I'm here now, aren't I? Anyway. So, today we're going to be reviewing Scarlet and Violet. And this can be used as background noise for any viewer that just wants to hear my opinions and my ramblings about Scarlet and Violet. So, as someone that's completed Scarlet and Violet, well, nearly completed Scarlet and Violet 100% because I couldn't get my a hand on Scarlet, so I could only really play Violet. I can say that I really did enjoy these games. These games are really good. For example, the story. Even though it's not Gen 7 level of story, which in my opinion, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, my favourite. But you did have the story of the kids and this Pokemon that's just fallen out of nowhere, and you being told to look after it with sandwiches, which I found very funny, the fact that you had to feed them sandwiches. But the starters as well, very well rounded. I loved Fuecoco and Skeledirge and Crocodile, or whatever the middle stage is called. They're both absolutely fantastic starters and honestly deserve a lot more praise than they're given. Yeah, except Sprigatito. That's a bad one. But we'll start with the story. So I like Scarlet and Violet's story. I like Arven's parents are actually, or we don't know about the dad slash mum, depending on whatever version you play on. But I played Violet, so I had Arven's dad was the professor, whereas in Scarlet, who had Arven's mum was the professor. So I don't know what exactly the situation is, but I did really like how we don't actually really see much of the professor in this game, whereas with Sword Shield we always saw the professor. Obviously she wasn't the professor at the time, but the professor to be, we always saw her. So I like how the professor was very offhands, wasn't really visible. Which isn't something they've really done from my knowledge. The only game that I haven't played through completely is Gen 4 remakes and the Gen 5, because I never did get a Gen 5 copy. So the story is very good. I love how it's meant to be like a big treasure hunt in a way. I love that. That is such a good design to me, and I love the way they word it as well. Something else that I found pretty nitpicky in the game was you're not locked in a route, which is brilliant. It's an open world game, but the level don't scale. So, for example, the ice gym, the 8th gym, will always be the hardest one. Yet I can go up to it and go and challenge it with my level 5 way go. It's clear you're not meant to be able to do that, but you can. If you so desperately wanted to, you could. Which is the concerning part. As well as that, there's also the very noticeable glitches. So, Scarlet and Violet is very much bogged down because of the hardware of the Switch. The Switch isn't the greatest, most powerful console. We all know this. But Scarlet and Violet especially has massive frame drops, which, especially considering that the game is meant to be next gen revolutionary, seeing the frame drops makes you go, what? Type thing. I love the Pokemon in the wild though. It's so worth the frame drops. The Pokemon being in the wild are brilliant. They're fantastic. Oh my god, it makes shiny hunting a lot easier, and I mean a lot easier. Like, no matter what you do, if you run into a shiny and you miss it, it's your fault then. Whereas if you had the possibility, you didn't even have to. Shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet is a lot easier, which should be obvious to anyone who can read or see. Now, the negatives that I have for Scarlet and Violet, there are not as many as I thought there would be when I started writing my notes up for this. The only real negatives that I know and I can mention is the level scaling, which I talked about earlier, as well as the fact that the characters just seem a bit dull. I went on about how the story is great, because the story is great. You capture what they are trying to tell you. But you have Arven, who's the only real interesting character. You have your classic rival who's always wanting to battle, which is just annoying, because if you're running around with Pokemon that are low health, she challenges you and you go, oh, well, I can't do anything about that now, can I? As well as that, you have the Team Star Grunts, which, I mean, are just your average enemy team. I like the fact that Penny was behind all of it all. That was a very interesting plot twist. But other than that, what the hell was going on? God knows. So overall, my scales, I rate this game a 7 out of 10. The game is very good. It's very good for Pokemon collectors because it's easy to get your decks complete if you have both games. But there's obviously those little nitpicks where you go, I don't like it this way, but that's how they made it, type thing. And obviously, people want it in a specific way that we aren't allowed to have it. And that's going to be the end of this episode. It's episode 1 of something. I'll figure out the name for it in the title. My voice is going, and I'll see you all later. Bye!